I knew. I knew
Yeah.
someday this would be relevant, you know?
Right. Yeah, and that's clearly what they did here because they hung on to some of Cynthia's clothing, and obviously that's
Mhm.
where the DNA was going to be found was on her clothes.
Mhm.
So in 2019, this case landed on the desk of Detective Dan Towery, and he submitted. They had submitted some DNA, and they got a hit back. Unknown male number one. So it didn't tell them
Ooh,
everything, but it did tell them that they actually did have the DNA of a male that was not
not them.
Cynthia's
Yeah.
traveling companion. Yeah, this was not
Mhm.
them. So they, hang on to that for a little bit more time. And then, of course, we know where do they go? Parabon Labs, because this is where everyone goes.
Yeah.
Um, he did have to, Towery did have to get permission because the DNA to run this was about $8,000. And that's quite a bit for a case that's 43 years old, but he did finally get that permission. And so what they did, of course, was they used Ancestry DNA, and they did find who commit these murders, and his name was Ray Whitson Jr. And his DNA, of course, was found on Cynthia's body, but they believe that he killed both of them. Um, he died in Texas in 1996. He
Mhm.
had no other criminal history, but the family was able to confirm some things. That he did always carry a 22 caliber pistol with him, which is the same caliber that killed both of these young people.
Mhm.
Um, the area where they were killed is a place that he would have been frequenting at that time also.
Okay.
So, even the district attorney has said that this information would have been strong enough to prosecute him if he were
Sure.
alive today.
Wow.
So they do believe that, in fact, this case is considered now solved.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing 43 years later that the way that they preserved the evidence would still be good enough to
Mhm.
identify somebody at this point.
Absolutely. Wow.
So Ray Whitson Jr. in absentia because he's been dead a long time, but
Mhm. But
this
hey,
he did commit this murder.